Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 2. Now let's start the fanfic. Naruto grumbled as he quickly got out of the hot water. He turned to Ebisu who had a grin on his face. Naruto so wanted to knock that smug grin off his face, but he wanted to really get this technique down. His training started when Ebisu came for him in the morning. As they walked, he explained the chakra exercise that they would be doing. It was called water walking, and it was much harder than tree climbing. Ebisu explained that because of that the water is in constant motion, the chakra used needed to change constantly. They trained near the hot springs as Ebisu taught it would encourage Naruto to learn faster. After a few more tries, Naruto was starting to get it. Ebisu was impressed as well. Suddenly, Naruto's concentration was broken when he noticed an old, white-haired man peeking into the woman's section of the baths. Ebisu saw this and decided to take action. As he charged at him, the man summoned a large toad. Naruto watched as the confrontation ended within a matter of seconds. Naruto checked on Ebisu and saw that he was okay. He stood and faced his attacker. Hey, what's the big idea? Naruto spat. Keep quiet, brat. I'm conducting my research. Jiraiya said and went back to his peeking. Naruto was about to shout, but he decided to do something more. The man felt a pulse of chakra and investigated it. He was wide-eyed when he was in the presence of a beautiful young blonde girl. She was holding a small towel to her person, but it gave the pervert a lot to think about. Well now, who might you be, my dear? He asked with a bit of drool coming out of his mouth. The girl threw a towel at him and took a deep breath. Rapist. Rapist. This pervert is trying to rape me. Help. Help. The girl screamed. He was shocked by what was going on and in an instant surrounded by the women of the hot springs. They all saw the girl and some knew that it was Naruto using his silly jutsu. Still, whatever this man was going to do to Naruto in this form was sick and twisted. Jiraiya saw no avenue of escape as the women closed in on him. You vile, sick man. What were you about to do to Naruto? One woman shouted. Are you okay, Naruto? Asked another woman. He forced me to use my technique for some type of research. He said that he was going further. Naruto cried. The woman glared murder at him and wielded some weapons. Naruto, it is time for you to leave. You do not want to see this. One of them said. Naruto nodded and walked away. The man watched as the girl gave him a wicked grin before using the teleportation technique. He realized that he had been tricked. Ladies, please. This is all a misunderstanding. He said. It didn't help him as he was attacked by the enraged women. Naruto was throwing elbows and knees at a wooden post. After leaving the pervert to his fate, he decided to continue his training until Ebisu was healed. He decided to work on his taijutsu some. While he was not there for the match against Hinata and her cousin, he did hear about it. He had always heard that the Hyuga were masters of taijutsu and to fight them close up was suicide. That didn't mean that he should ignore his taijutsu just because. He had something for last year's Rookie of the Year. He was suddenly hoisted into the air and thrown toward the river. He flipped in midair and attempted to stand on the water. He was still trying but was able to stand on its surface. He looked up to see the old pervert from the springs. He was beaten up and angry. He glared at Naruto. You little brat, I barely escaped with my life after that stunt. He shouted. Maybe that will teach. He was cut off when he fell into the water. This amused the man as Naruto shot up out of the water. Arg. What the hell is wrong with me? My chakra has been all crazy since that run-in with Orochimaru. Naruto exclaimed. That name caught the attention of the man. What did you just say? He asked. He saw that Naruto looked at him with mistrust. Don't worry, kid. I'm a very high-ranking shinobi. Now, What did you mean you ran into Orochimaru? I got my handed to me by the guy during the Chunin exams. When he defeated me, he thrust his fingers into my gut. Since then, my chakra has been off. Naruto said. Let me see your stomach. He ordered. Naruto recoiled into fright, making the man roll his eyes. He held the boy and raised his shirt. He saw the seal of the Yondaime and he saw the seal that was over it. He recognized it as Orochimaru's work because it was crude and unrefined. He decided to do something about it. He focused his chakra into his hands and 5 symbols appeared on each of his fingertips. 5-prong seal release. He called out and slammed his fingertips into his gut. Naruto felt the air leave him and dropped to his knees. He took a few deep breaths before facing and glaring at the man. He ignored the glare and made a motion to the river. Try that exercise again. Naruto grumbled but complied with him, not wanting to upset the guy. He did the exercise and he was not sinking. He was completely on top of the water. Naruto cheered as he completed the exercise. The man smiled and vanished, leaving Naruto to his celebration. Sasuke hit the ground again. He struggled to get to his feet. He was beaten up, bleeding from the lip and bruised all over. He glared at Kakashi and his clone that looked at him with a bored expression. The original Kakashi raised his head for his book to look at Sasuke. Well, you were able to last longer this time. You still too slow, Sasuke. The Suna Genin will you if you don't speed up. Kakashi said. My Kakashi, I did not know that you were so vicious. A voice said. 3 heads turned to see a white-haired man. Lord Jiraiya? Kakashi asked in shock. Sasuke was shocked as well. He had heard of Jiraiya and knew that the man was strong. What was he doing here? I heard from Ebisu that you were training the Uchiha on orders. Looks to me like you're trying to break the poor fool. Jiraiya said with amusement. Sasuke was not amused and frowned at his words. What can I do for you, Lord Jiraiya? Kakashi asked. This is a private matter. Jiraiya said. Kakashi nodded and made a motion to his clone. The clone nodded and dragged Sasuke away. The boy struggled a bit but the clone was not to be messed with. Once away, the two faced each other. I ran into your other student earlier. He's different from what I remembered. He's been attempting to become a better shinobi and is succeeding in it. He's much stronger than he was in the academy. How did you two meet? Kakashi said. That isn't important right now. However, I would like to know if he's in the finals coming up. Jiraiya asked. Yes. He's fighting Neji Hyuga in the first round. Kakashi said. A Hyuga, huh? Okay then. Don't worry about him. I'll take care of it. Jiraiya said. He used the teleportation technique before Kakashi could say something. After a while he smiled as he knew that Naruto would be in good hands. Naruto walked toward the training grounds in a hurry. He had come up with this great idea for an attack and wanted to test it out. If he could actually do it, it would really help him in his match against Neji. He was suddenly stopped when the toad from yesterday landed in front of him. On its back was the guy from yesterday. Hey kid, fancy meeting you here. Jiraiya greeted. What do you want now, you pervert? Naruto said. First off kid, the name is Jiraiya, also known as the handsome and dashing toad sage. Second, I'm here so that we can continue from yesterday. Jiraiya said. Yesterday, you punched me in the gut. Naruto stated. Yet, you were able to master the water walking exercise, right? Jiraiya asked. Naruto couldn't deny that it did. So, until the finals, I will be the one who trains you. Why should I trust you? With Ebisu-sensei, he can control his perverted urges. I wouldn't get anything done with you and any girls around. Naruto said. Come on kid, I'm a really powerful ninja and I can teach you some very powerful jutsu. He said. Oh yeah, like what? Naruto asked. How about I teach you how to summon my friend here? I heard that you have a lot of chakra to burn. Jiraiya said with a smirk. He could see the boy's interest and knew that he had one. Ino found her sensei with Choji and Shikamaru. Choji was currently trying to roll over Shikamaru. She figured that Asuma must have promised Choji a free lunch to help train the lazy sloth. She forgot about them and focused on Asuma. It took a lot of thinking, but she decided to go with Naruto's advice. She saw how much stronger he got. Maybe it would work for her as well. Asuma-sensei. Ino called out. The smoking Jonin turned his attention to his third student. Hello Ino. Have you come to help out with Shikamaru's training? Asuma asked. As fun as that might be, I came for a different reason. Ino took a deep breath and looked at him seriously. I would like for you to help me become a better kunoichi. She said. Asuma looked at her for a second before sitting down. He had Ino sit as well. That is something that I can do Ino, but are you ready to become a better kunoichi? I know that you saw how Naruto is in the results, but I'll tell you now that it will be hard work. I will be hard on you and I will be strict. If you are not willing to do the work, then you are wasting my time and yours. So I will ask you again, are you ready to become a better kunoichi? Asuma asked seriously. Yes, I am ready to be a better kunoichi. Ino said. Asuma looked at her for a long time before he smiled at her. Well then, let's get started on that. Asuma said. Ino could do nothing but smile. Sasuke lay in his bedroll, healing from his injuries. Kakashi was not holding back against him. It didn't feel like training to him. It was as if Kakashi was punishing him for his actions, attempting to humble him. That was not going to happen as long as he breathes. He did not feel sorry for what he did at all. Kakashi was giving the Dobi strong techniques and leaving him with nothing. In his mind, it wasn't fair at all. Techniques like that multiple shuriken attack should have been his. Suddenly he heard the sound of chirping birds. It was soon followed by a huge boom. He forced himself to his feet and made his way out toward the sound. He walked a distance before he found Kakashi. He watched as the man did a few hand seals and cupped his hand. Lightning appeared and was blaring. The screech of birds rang through the area. Kakashi then charged at a boulder that had a few holes in it. He thrust his arm forward and into the boulder, creating an explosion of dust. When it cleared, Sasuke could see that Kakashi's arm deep into the boulder. Sasuke couldn't believe how strong that technique was. A wicked grin appeared on his face and he activated his Sharingan. He stayed hidden and waited. Jiraiya watched as Naruto did the summoning jutsu again. When the sum cleared, he had summoned Gamma. Jiraiya was very impressed with Naruto's progress. In only a week and a half, Naruto had gotten the summoning jutsu down. His first attempt at the technique was a surprise to him when he summoned a toad. The toad turned out to be Gamakichi. It was an impressive feat that even Jiraiya couldn't accomplish. During the week he was about to summon 2 more small toads and 2 man-sized toads. It was just so impressive. However, Jiraiya wanted to see something else. That something else was the chakra of the 9-tailed fox. His reason for this was so that Naruto could get used to using its chakra. Some dangerous men were coming for him and his student would not have sealed the fox within him without a reason. If he was able to tap into that power, he could summon one of the great 3 toads. The question was, how was he going to it? Oh, he had a way, but it would put his life in danger. With a sigh, Jiraiya stood up and caught Naruto's attention. Well, I have to admit, you truly surprised me, Naruto. Jiraiya said. I told you so. Naruto boasted. Still, I have something serious to talk to you about, Naruto. The blonde gave him his full attention. I was wondering, have you ever met with your tenant? He asked. You mean the fox? No, I never met with him, and why would I want to? Naruto said. That's a shame and a problem. I was hoping that you did. I guess that we're going to have to do this the hard way. For what it's worth, I'm really sorry that I have to do this. Jiraiya said. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. Jiraiya just poked Naruto in the forehead. It didn't feeling like a poke to Naruto, who was suddenly sent flying through the bush. When he came to a stop, he was hovering over a very deep ravine with sharp stone sides. He began to descend down the ravine at a fast pace. He tried to grab the sides, but it was too slippery and he was going too fast. When he ran out of options, Naruto could see his life flash before his eyes. Everything went white for him. When he opened his eyes, he was suddenly in a puddle of water. He looked forward and saw a large golden cage. He also saw a piece of paper on the gates that had the symbol for seal. As he stood, he began to feel an oppressive force around him. He looked toward the cage and saw two large red eyes and a huge row of teeth. Whatever it was, chuckled at him. Hello, Warden. I've attempted to get in contact with you for a while. We have much to discuss. We've got nothing to talk about. Why would I talk to the guy who is the cause of all that has happened to me? I figured that this is about your chakra, but I want nothing to do with it and you. Naruto said. The fox looked at him and scoffed. I guess I was wrong. You are still an impudent little child, hiding behind your bravado. Perhaps when you mature some more, we can talk then. The fox said. Hey, don't talk down to me. What the hell do you know about me anyway? Naruto shouted. Do not insult my intelligence, boy. I have seen what has been done to you. I have felt your anger when you were younger. You come to me as a child, blaming your problems on something I have not done. I did not ask to be sealed within you. The fox shouted. Naruto wanted to say something, but he couldn't fault the logic of Demon. He took a couple of deep breaths before facing the fox again. You said that we have to talk, so talk. Naruto said. The fox scoffed again, but he decided to comply with the order. I wanted to commend you for dropping that idiot mask. You are improving and your improvement secures my survival. I didn't do it for you. I did it to be stronger for my village. Whatever your reason was, it is a good thing. I would like to offer my assistance in helping you. The fox said. This surprised Naruto, who was now on edge. Anime and manga. Why would you want to help me? You're a being of destruction and chaos, something that want nothing to do with. Naruto said. Disappointing, but I knew that already. I'm only offering my services so that you may get back that scroll. With it, you can become much stronger, further ensuring my survival. Scroll? You don't mean that scroll I got back during the mission? Yes, that scroll. You are rather lucky that you got that scroll. The Sage of the Six Paths was strong in his time. Learning from such a strong human is quite remarkable, don't you agree? Naruto wanted to ask more about the sage, but he felt that the fox would not tell him anything. What's in it for you? Like I said, your improvement ensures my survival. While I wish for freedom, this damn seal prevents it. Instead of working against you, I would work with you until I find a way to escape my prison. So, what do you say, boy? The fox asked. Naruto just looked at the fox, who just grinned at him. Fine, but we're going to have some rules. I don't want your chakra unless it is really necessary. Naruto said. I reserve the right to ignore that rule if you are going to get used. The fox countered. Agreed. Another rule is that you don't influence me when I get angry and use your chakra. Naruto said that with a tone. It made the fox chuckle. Figured that out, did you? Very well. I will not influence you, but that might not be easy. As you have said, I am a being of destruction and chaos. It depends on you to rein in your anger. The fox said. Naruto just gave him a dirty look before nodding. I can't think of anything else yet, but I will. Naruto said. Understood. As a show of good faith, let me help you with your chakra control. Two beams of red light shot out and wrapped around Naruto's ankles and wrist. They came together, causing Naruto to lose his footing and fall onto his back. Naruto saw that he was restrained and attempted to break free. Hey, what's the deal? Naruto shouted. It is a special type of chakra exercise. You must continuously use your chakra to keep the chains apart. The pros of this exercise are that your chakra pool will increase and your control will improve. Who knows, you might be able to do a normal clone jutsu. Now that our business is done, you can leave. The fox said and ejected Naruto out of his mind. The blonde's eyes shot open and Naruto was fully awake. He sat up and looked around to get his bearings. Yo! A voice said. Naruto turned to see Kakashi. Anime and manga. Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here? Naruto asked. I got word that my student was in the hospital for chakra exhaustion. Seeing that you're up, I don't have to worry. However, I'm curious as to how you of all people got chakra exhaustion. Care to explain it to me? Kakashi asked. Naruto nodded and began his tale. Kakashi was not too surprised that Jiraiya was training him, but he was proud that Naruto knew the summoning technique. He chuckled a little when he talked about his meeting with Gamabunta. That's when Naruto told him about the 9 tails. He was concerned about what Naruto told him. At the end, Kakashi was looking at Naruto seriously. Can you trust him, Naruto? Kakashi asked. I don't really know. It seems like he doesn't have any hidden agenda, but I know that he wants out of the seal. I'm going with the wait and see approach for now. Naruto said. Alright, but be careful, Naruto. We don't know what the fox wants. I'll have to let the Hokage know about this. Kakashi said. I understand, but can you help me first? Naruto said. Kakashi saw that he could not move his wrists or ankles. He nodded and helped Naruto with the fox's chakra exercise. XXX. Sasuke cupped his hand and watched as lightning surrounded it. He had a dark smile on his face. He could feel the power of the technique. He deactivated the technique and fell to his knees. It was the only drawback to this technique, as it took a lot of chakra to do. He didn't know how many he could do before he was out of chakra. After he got his breath back, Sasuke bandaged his hand. If Kakashi saw the burn marks, he would get suspicious and get the reason out of him. He raised his bandaged hand and smirked. With this jutsu, he would show everyone just how strong he was. Not really, my aunt showed me a bit of the Yamanaka fighting style. Apparently, we work on disabling our opponents so that they couldn't move when we read their minds. She said that very few use it anymore. Ino explained. That's true. Your clan isn't known for its close combat skills. Still, it is a good style for you. So, are you ready for another go? Asuma asked. Ino nodded and charged at Asuma. She would get stronger, no matter what. XXX. Naruto was sleeping peacefully. After a whole day with Kakashi, he had finally gotten the hang of the fox's exercise. Kakashi explained that this would be a very good exercise for him. Naruto just wanted to get some needed sleep. He had another week before the finals started and he was going to train hard for 4 days. He still had that idea and jutsu to learn. As he slept, he was suddenly, once again, brought before the fox. Naruto groaned as stared at the 9 tails. What do you want now? I was sleeping, you know. Sorry to spoil your beauty rest, but you have a problem. What are you talking about? The boy with the sand, he is similar to you. What? He is a container just like you. He carries that crazy shukaku. Wait a minute, that red-haired guy from the sand is just like me. What's he doing in the hospital? First, he is similar to you in that he contains one of us, but you are very far apart. The Shukaku is an insane being that wants nothing more than blood. Anyone who is his container is very unstable. As to why he is here, I would guess that it is because of that weird boy in the green spandex. Shukaku has an impressive defense and that boy broke it. He will the boy. The fox said. Anime and manga. Why didn't you say that in the first place, you stupid fox? Naruto shouted. Naruto instantly woke up and shot out of bed. He made his way to Lee's room. He saw Gaara stand over him, his sand making a move to the sleeping Lee. Naruto acted quickly and used the teleportation jutsu to grab Lee. Naruto placed Lee behind him and faced Gaara. Gaara did not look happy that he was stopped. Why did you stop me? Gaara demanded. A better question is, what do you think that you're doing? He can't defend himself. Naruto said. He questioned my existence. He must pay for that. I will you as well if you get in my way. Gaara said. Don't think just because you have the Shukaku in you that I'm going to back down. Naruto said and got into a stance. His words surprised Gaara. How do you know about Shukaku, the wind spirit? Gaara asked. Naruto used a bit of the Nine Tails chakra and his eyes changed to show Gaara. You aren't the only one with a spirit stuck in his gut. Naruto said. This surprised Gaara as there was another person just like him. He looked closer at Naruto and rethought his earlier mental assumption. No, you are not like me. You do not have the same eyes as me. You don't have the same hate as I do. Why is that? Gaara asked. I know what you mean. Having people hate you for something that you had no choice in. I hated them, I wanted bad things to happen to them, but that doesn't solve anything. That's why I took a different path and I found people who acknowledge me. Naruto said. You are naive and idiotic. They will turn on you the second you let your guard down. My mother is the only one who has not betrayed me, and it is because of her I have an existence. Gaara said. No, you allowed your grief to take over and you threw away your humanity. You're just proving them right by becoming what they fear. Naruto said. Gaara glared at Naruto and his sand began to react. Naruto readied himself to fight when they both heard footsteps. Gaara called back his sand and turned around. He stopped in the doorway and faced Naruto. The day of the finals had arrived and everyone in Konoha was excited to see the competition. Daimyos from other countries was arriving to see how strong each genin was. This would help them as they choose what village to ask for help. From what they could see, it was going to be between the leaf and the sand. They waited eagerly for the finals to start. Standardized and admissions tests. Ino was looking for a place to sit. She was wearing casual clothes, consisting of an orange t-shirt that had the stylized kanji for the word, bore, inside a light green circle on the upper left side of the chest, brown shorts, and cream-colored elbow guards. She was also sporting some bandages from her training. She finally found a seat, but it was near the brown-haired teammate of Neji Hyuga. Is anyone sitting here? Ino asked her. No, you can sit here. Tenten said. Thanks. Ino said and took a seat. She got situated and looked toward the field. She saw those who made it to the finals but no Naruto. She was wondering where the blonde was when she caught sight of the spiky-haired genin. She couldn't really tell if that was him because he was wearing something other than that orange eyesore. You're looking at that guy pretty hard there. I thought that you were interested in that Uchiha guy. Tenten asked. I was, but I saw who he truly is and that justed any interest. Besides, I thought that was Naruto, but I couldn't be sure since I don't see that much orange on him. Ino said. Hey, you're right, but it has to be him because of the hair. Tenten said. Ino had to agree with her and had to admit that he did look good in those clothes. That's when she heard Tenten speak. I feel sorry for him though. He's going up against last year's rookie. Neji isn't the type to play around. I would have agreed with you, but this isn't the same guy from our graduating class. He's much stronger than before. I've upped my training just so that I don't fall behind. Ino explained. Is that so? That's pretty good for you. The way you and the pink-haired girl fought was a bit embarrassing. If you want, I can spar with you, maybe show you a few things. Tenten offered. I might take you up on that. Ino said with a smile. She turned to the crowd and noticed Sakura. She was sitting next to her mother and father. She couldn't really see her face, but by the way she sat, it looked like she was under house arrest by her parents. She just shrugged and focused her attention to the field where the first match was about to begin. Naruto was stretching out his muscles as he got ready to fight Neji. Neji watched him and noticed his change of attire, a pair of baggy blue pants tied at the ankles, a black and orange jersey over a mesh shirt with short sleeves and a gray jacket with black strips on the sleeves. He saw that his fists were taped as was his ankles. Neji just smirked at him because of how relaxed he was acting. Naruto saw the smirk and was curious about it. Is there something funny? Naruto asked. Yes, I find it amusing that you are so confident in your abilities. You are slightly better than your peers give you credit for, but it would not be enough. You are a loser, it is your destiny. You can either accept it or be embarrassed. Neji said with a grin. Naruto just looked at him before chuckling. Wow, is that your strategy? Is this how you beat Hinata? Sorry pal, but I'm not going to break down like that just because you say a few words. Naruto said. Very well. Don't say that I didn't try to help you. Neji said and slipped into his stance. Naruto got on the balls of his feet and readied himself. Genma looked at the two and saw that they were ready. He signaled the match to begin. Naruto threw a quick roundhouse kick, which was way out of range. Surprisingly, Neji was thrown back a few feet. Confused at what just happened, he barely got his arm up to block Naruto's roundhouse kick. The power behind the blow surprised Neji some more. Naruto followed up with a few punches, but Neji dodged them. Neji lashed out with a palm strike, but Naruto ducked it and threw an uppercut. Naruto missed but was able to get Neji in a clench. He drove his knee right into Neji's chest, making him gasp. He threw another knee but Neji blocked it. He then hit Naruto several times, forcing him to release the clench. As he backed away, Naruto threw a front kick that caught Neji flush on his face. The two got some distance before Naruto rushed back in. Neji was waiting and the two proceeded to throw punches, kicks, knees, palms and elbows at each other. They both jumped away and landed across from each other. Everyone was in awe at what just happened. In the span of a few minutes, everyone's perception of the match had changed. How was the village pariah matching blows with a Hyuga? And it wasn't just any Hyuga but the Hyuga prodigy. Everyone could see that Naruto had done some damage to Neji. What was most surprising was that Naruto seemed to be shrugging off the gentle fist. He wasn't showing any of the effects that one who show if they were getting hit by it. Among the crowd, none were more surprised than Tenten and Ino. Did I just witness that? Tenten asked in shock. I knew that he had improved, but to fight a Hyuga in close is suicide. Yet, he isn't showing that the gentle fist is affecting him. Ino said with equal shock. What type of training has he done in order to prepare for that? Tenten asked. I don't know. Ino answered. Anime and manga. Naruto stared at his opponent and let out a huff. He was thinking about how the fight had been going. Okay. That gentle fist of his packs a punch. Even the little metal plates I have on aren't stopping it. My threshold for pain is good, but if I take any more strike like that, I'll be in trouble. He's still holding back, but he's starting to take me seriously if his activating his Byakugan is any indicator. Alright then, it's time to fight my type of fight. Naruto thought and did a familiar seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. He called out and summoned 4 clones. Neji saw this, but his Byakugan could not tell them apart. He then saw the middle one attack. He saw a shimmer and moved out of the way and right into Naruto's fist. Neji staggered, but he was quick to block another roundhouse. He was then forced to a knee by a low kick from another Naruto. He rolled away, dodging a flying knee. He got to his feet and attacked the two clones that came at him. The third clone engaged him in another close combat situation as two more Narutos flanked him. He saw that one reared his foot back while the other was doing hand seals. He grabbed the clone attacking him and used it as a shield to block Naruto's mysterious attack. He then began to expel chakra throughout his body just as Naruto finished his hand seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Naruto called out and spat a fireball at him. 8 trigrams palm rotation. Neji called out and began to spin. A dome of chakra appeared and stopped the fire technique. Neji came to a stop and faced the jutsu-wielding Naruto. Naruto just looked at him with determination and readied himself. My, what talented genin you have. You have a branch member using a main house technique and the dead last using a powerful fire technique. You must be proud. The Kazekage said. Yes, it warms my heart to see that the next generation is so strong. Hiruzen said to him. I am confused by that technique that the blonde used. Is that a wind technique? The Kazekage asked. I truly don't know. However, it is impressive that it does not require hand seals to use. From what I've seen, it is not mastered. If it was mastered, that last attack would have cut through the clone and Neji. Hiruzen explained. What a dangerous genin you have, Hokage-sama. I will have to keep my eye on him in the future. The Kazekage said. Hiruzen said nothing, but he did not like the words that came out of the Kazekage's mouth. It sounded more like a threat than a statement. He would have to keep an eye on his fellow Kage. Anime and manga. Neji was breathing very hard. He had bruises on his forearms and calves. He looked at the dozen clones that was surrounding him with a harsh glare. He couldn't believe how this match had gone. He did not expect this for the dead last. It angered him greatly that he was being pushed so far by this failure. He needed to finish this off and he had just the way to do it. He had already figured out which one was the original and made his way toward him. He dodged the attacks and jutsu to appear next to the original. Naruto saw his stance and knew that he was in trouble. He decided to use his other original technique. He quickly did the hand seals and finished just as Neji launched his attack. Gentle fist art. 8 trigrams 64 palms. Neji shouted. 2 palms. Neji shouted and struck to hit nothing but air. This surprised him as Naruto appeared to his left. Neji growled, but he would not give up. 4 palms. Again he hit nothing. 8 palms. His strikes hit nothing but air. 16 palms. Naruto's images danced around him as his palm went right through them. 32 palms. Neji threw his strikes faster and faster, but he was still unable to touch Naruto. 64 palms. Neji roared. Naruto's images just kept dancing around Neji's strikes. When it was over, Naruto's images disappeared and Naruto was nowhere to be seen. That's when Neji was suddenly dragged into the ground up to his head. Neji growled and was about to blast his way out of the ground when he felt an incredible amount of chakra. He looked up to see Naruto in the air. He also noticed that some of his features looked darker than before. Ninja art. Lion's roar. Naruto bellowed and unleashed a huge wave of sound toward Neji. Didn't have time to dodge as he was hit with the wave of sound. The blast created a crater then sank Neji further into the ground. When Naruto landed on the ground, he cautiously moved toward the crater. He looked into the crater and saw that Neji was sprawled out, not moving. Genma checked Neji over. He was going to be really sore, but he was alive. He then turned to Naruto and pointed at him. Winner of the first match, Naruto Uzumaki. Genma said. At first, Naruto heard nothing for the crowd, which did not really faze him. That's when he heard clapping. The clapping got louder and there was more of it. Then there was cheering. Naruto couldn't really believe what he was hearing. People were cheering his name. They were giving him praise and telling him that he did a good job. He was so shocked by it. He quickly got out of his shock and gave the crowd a big grin. He raised his arms in victory and egged the crowd on. I can't believe what just happened. Naruto just beat Neji. Azumo stated with shock. Yeah, and what is more shocking is that he did it without so much trouble. Throughout the match, he had the edge over Neji. Kotetsu said. I agree. He didn't rush in too much. He kept him on edge with jutsu and strange attacks. Those last two moves were impressive. Not to mention that he kept his cool. Do you think that he deserves a promotion? Azumo asked. No doubt about it. He deserves Chunin rank. Kotetsu said. I don't believe it. How could Neji have lost? Tenten asked in shock. Naruto made his way up the stairs to the competitor's box. When he entered, he was met by Shino and Shikamaru. Well, if it isn't Mr. Cool. Shikamaru said with a bored tone. Say what now? Naruto asked with confusion. Shikamaru believes that you have become one of the cool people like Sasuke or Neji. Shino answered. Not a chance in hell would I end up like those two. They're more snobbish than cool. Naruto said. You got a point there. Anyway, that was an impressive win, Naruto. I'm surprised that you went into that fight with a plan. Shikamaru said. Yeah, it's still a new thing for me. Naruto said with embarrassment. They then turned their attention back to the referee who was speaking. Kankuro of the Sand and Shino Aburame, please come down. Genma said. Kankuro growled quietly as he did not wish to show his hand until the invasion. While he was confident that he could beat the coat-wearing Shino, he had to think of the mission first. Proctor, I wish to forfeit this match. Kankuro said, gaining surprised looks from everyone, except Gaara. Shino and Naruto were more surprised. Are you sure about this? Genma asked. Kankuro nodded and stepped back from the railing. Very well, the winner of the second match is Shino Aburame. The announcement didn't help the crowd as they were itching to see a fight. Naruto looked at Shino. Tough break there, Shino. I'm sure you would have beaten him. Naruto said. You can't really say that Naruto, as he was very skilled. However, don't you find it odd that he forfeited the match? Shino asked quietly. Yeah, he acted like a guy who would want to flaunt his skills. Naruto answered. With the Sand sibling, Temari was getting nervous. Damn it, we need to stall for more time. I understand what Kankuro did, but he really did it without thinking. I guess that I'll just have to make this match good. Temari thought. She suddenly whipped out her fan and used it like a glider. She landed on the field and closed her fan. She looked up at Shikamaru. Come on, let's fight. She seems eager. Naruto said. Shikamaru sighed in frustration. He didn't really want to fight this girl as she seemed just as troublesome as his mother and Ino. He decided that he didn't want to become Chunin and was about to follow Kankuro's lead. As he was about to submit, he was suddenly grabbed from behind and tossed out of the competitor's box. He hit the ground with a thud. Naruto and Shino turned to see who had just thrown their friend down. Ino, what are you doing here? Why did you do that to Shikamaru? Naruto asked. Well, I came up here to congratulate you in person. As for Shikamaru, the lazy bum was about to forfeit and I wasn't about to let that happen. Ino said. She then looked down at the unmoving form of Shikamaru. Go get her, Shikamaru. I know that you can do it. All she got was a glare. She turned her attention back to Naruto. That was an awesome match, Naruto. Thanks. I gave it my best. Naruto said. Who knows, you might just win this whole tournament. Ino said. You really think so? Well, we can't call you the dead last anymore. You did just beat last year's Rookie of the Year without too much trouble. Yeah, I think you can do it. Wow. Thanks Ino. I'll show you and everyone that I can. Naruto said. Easy Naruto, don't get too excited. Anyway, I'll be cheering for you in the stands. Good luck. Ino said and left the competitor's box. Naruto couldn't stop smiling and was pumped to show Ino that she was right to believe in him. Unknown to either of them, Gaara watched the whole thing and he was not happy one bit. He remembered every word that Naruto said to him at the hospital, and as he watched him interact with that girl, he raged at how hypocritical he was. He had a friend while he had no one. Oh, he was going to make him pay. After he the Uchiha, Uzumaki was next. Shikamaru lay on the ground, refusing to get up. He couldn't believe that Ino had done that to him. That stupid girl was always a pain in the butt. He wanted to get revenge, but that would be too troublesome with her recent improvement. Still, he had to make her pay somehow. Hey, are you going to lay there for this whole match? Temari shouted. Shikamaru said nothing and stared at the sky. That infuriated her and she charged at the downed Nara. Seeing her charge, Shikamaru sighed. It seems that he would be forced to fight another girl. He pulled out 2 kunai and a paper ball. Ino returned to see that Choji was sitting with Tenten. She made her way to her seat and looked at her teammate who had a large bag full with other bags of chips. Didn't you just get out of the hospital with a stomach ache? Ino asked with a deadpan tone. It's not that much chips. Choji whined. This made Ino sigh and Tenten giggle. Choji looked at the field and saw Shikamaru fighting the Sand Kunoichi. What is Shikamaru doing? He's running away, that's what. Tenten said with amusement. No, I mean, why is Shikamaru fighting? I figured he would have surrendered. That girl looks way into the fight and he would find that troublesome. Choji explained. Well, I wouldn't let him surrender, so I gave him a gentle push into fighting. Ino said. She looked at the fight and snarled. Come on Shikamaru, stop running and fight her. Choji looked at his friend and began eating with a smile. Ino would never understand Shikamaru as he was not the type to engage in combat. Sooner or later, Shikamaru would surrender. Shikamaru hid behind the trees, looking at the sky. He sighed for what seemed like the 5th time. He covered himself as a fierce wind hit the tree he was hiding behind. He could see the cuts that the wind left on the side of tree. He just couldn't believe how determined this girl was. Why did he always have to fight women like that? He could hear her calling him names and telling him to fight her. Like hell he was going to do that. He looked at the sky and wished that he was Cloud. They just moved with the flow of time, not bothering anyone and no one bothering them. He suddenly stood up and prepared himself to fight. It was going to be a hassle, but it would not be as troublesome if his mother got word of his performance. He looked out and saw several things on the battlefield. After getting a view of the battlefield, Shikamaru did an unfamiliar seal. Temari saw this and readied herself for whatever he had planned. Finally, he's beginning to get serious. Asuma said with a sigh of relief. What are you talking about? Is it because of that seal he's making? Kurenai asked. It isn't a seal. It's his thinking pose. When things get too dicey for him, he does that pose. After he done thinking, it's a sure thing that he would win. Asuma said. Come on, he won't win just because he's thinking. Kurenai said. Don't underestimate him like you did Naruto. The truth is Shikamaru's greatest strength is his mind. He actually has an IQ over 200. Asuma said. He watched as Shikamaru had just finished thinking. Just watch Kurenai, you're about to see something amazing. Shikamaru pulled out 3 kunai and stabbed them in front of him. He did the seal for his shadow possession jutsu. His shadow raced after Temari, who jumped back to a line that she created to mark the distance of his technique. When she was behind it, she believed herself to be safe. When the shadow stopped, a kunai appeared right at the line. She saw a small ball attached to it. It suddenly exploded into a smoke cloud, blinding her. Tamari was coughing, but she saw that his shadow had passed the line. She quickly jumped away when two kunai cut off her movement. They too had smoke bombs attached to them. Tamari caught on to his plan after the second smoke bomb, and she wasn't about to let him get the upper hand. She opened her fan to 3 moons. Wind Scythe Jutsu. Tamari called out, and a large gust of wind blew the smoke away. This reduced Shikamaru's range with the Shadow Possession Jutsu. When the smoke cleared, Tamari smirked at Shikamaru. That was a nice try, but not good enough. It's time I ended this, she said and reared her fan back. Suddenly, she couldn't move her body. It was as if it was frozen in place. What? Why can't I move? Shadow Possession Jutsu, success. Shikamaru said with a grin. No, it isn't possible. I blew away your smoke and there is enough light for you to extend your shadow. Tamari said with shock. That's pretty good that you figured that out. You're right, I couldn't reach you with this much light, but I had help in another way. Like I told that troublesome girl from the sound, you should have a better awareness to your surroundings. Those smoke bombs were just a distraction and a tool to get you to where I wanted you. Still seeing that she was confused, Shikamaru turned his head to show her the large crater that she was standing next to. She remembered this crater as the one that Naruto made. She looked closer and saw a small tunnel. Her head was moved again and he showed her where the connection was. The man-size hole was a few feet to his left. Why you use the hole that the blonde used to go underground to connect your shadow to me? Tamari asked in awe. Yeah, I noticed it when you were trying to blow me away with your attack. Anyway, I think it's time that I end this, Shikamaru said. Tamari couldn't believe that she had lost to this slacker. He treated her like a puppet and led her into his trap. She growled and closed her eyes as she didn't want to see what he was about to do to her. That is until she heard him said, I give up. Her eyes shot open and she looked at him with shock. Excuse me, she asked. You heard me. I said that I give up. This thing is so annoying and I don't want to be a part of it anymore, he said to her. Her shock suddenly turned into rage. Are you kidding me? After all you did, you're just giving me the match. You pig, I don't need you to go easy on me. Tamari shouted. Who said anything like that, you troublesome woman? As you can see, you can move and my shadow is still connected. You shouldn't be able to do that, so I know that I don't have the chakra to continue. What are you so angry about? Kami, you're just as annoying as my mother and Ino, Shikamaru stated. Tamari was red in the face and reached for her fan. Genma stepped in before she could shed his blood. Winner of the match, Tamari of the Sand, Genma said. The crowd was disappointed about the outcome and let Shikamaru hear it. The Nara heir didn't even care and made his way back to the competitor's box. Well, was that a part of his plan too? Kurenai asked with amusement. Asuma just sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. Still, that was a brilliant strategy he came up with. If he was leading a battalion of men, he would have won that battle. Hell, if he and Naruto ever get together on the field, they wouldn't lose. He definitely deserves to be promoted, the red-eyed beauty thought. Maybe she should stop underestimating the dead last students. It was clear that they were not as weak as she thought. Ino, you need to calm down, Choji said. He was currently struggling to hold on to her as she wanted to get to the competitor's box and bash Shikamaru's skull in. Hey Tenten, can you give me a hand here? The brunette did help and they managed to subdue the enraged Kunoichi. After that fight, it was time to get to the match that everyone wanted to see. However, Sasuke had yet to arrive. Genma looked around and wondered what the Hokage was going to do. Before the Hokage could give his ruling though, Kakashi finally arrived with Sasuke. The one-eyed Jonin shoved Sasuke forward before turning his back from him and vanishing. Sasuke glared at the spot but did nothing else. As the crowd cheered, Kakashi appeared next to his fellow Jonin. Yo! He greeted them, cutting it kind of close there. Asuma said, "This time, it wasn't my fault. I couldn't find him after I told him to meet me near the stadium. I finally found him at his parents' graves. I let him speak with them before I to force him out and bring him here. I'm just glad that he's out of my hair." Kakashi said, "Well, you missed some great matches. Naruto did very well against Neji, Shino won by forfeit and Shikamaru lost to that Sand Kunoichi. I wouldn't be surprised if Naruto and Shikamaru got promoted." Kurenai told him. "Is that so? I'll have to get a tape of that match." Kakashi said. That's when Gaara appeared on the field. Kakashi focused on the match and couldn't help but wonder what Sasuke had in store for the psychotic genin. Naruto was also interested in this match. He wanted to see what Kakashi taught Sasuke. Suddenly, Shikamaru came in running and out of breath. Naruto and Shino looked at him with worry. "Is something wrong, Shikamaru?" Naruto asked. "Naruto, we have to get to your sensei and stop this match. If we don't, Sasuke is going to get it," Shikamaru said to him. The two combatants looked at each other. Genma could feel the tension between the two and took a couple of steps back. Sasuke, who was dressed in a black, one-pieced version of his original outfit with many small arm belts adorning his left arm and similar bands around both legs, smirked at Gaara. Gaara looked at him with no expression and uncorked his gourd. As the sand filtered out, he suddenly grabbed his head in pain. Sasuke watched as the red head was suddenly talking to himself. Sasuke just scoffed and ran at Gaara. Gaara's eyes flashed and Sasuke was forced to back away from a wave of sand. Anime and manga. Sasuke did some hand seals and took a deep breath. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke shouted and blew out large ball of flame. The flame engulfed Gaara and surrounded him. Suddenly, the fire was snuffed out with by Gaara's sand. Sasuke saw that he had that expression again. Gaara glared at him and several bullets of sand came at him and an incredible speed. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and moved quickly out of the way. He moved at an amazing speed, utilizing the copied technique of Rock Lee. He moved in to get at Gaara but was stopped by Gaara's sand. Sasuke cursed and kept attacking, trying to find an weak point in Gaara's defensive. "Wow! You have taught him well, my rival," Guy said to Kakashi. "At his current speed, he should be able to keep ahead of Gaara's sand." "Is that all you taught him?" "Yeah, I didn't have much of a choice since he copied Lee's style. He doesn't deserve training after everything he has pulled," Kakashi said. "Do not give up on him yet, Kakashi. Perhaps there is a light through all that darkness," Guy said. Kakashi just shrugged at him and watched the match. Seconds later, Naruto, Shino and Shikamaru came running into the stands. Naruto stopped in front of Kakashi and led the two toward him. "Kakashi-sensei," Naruto exclaimed. "Naruto, congratulations on your victory," Kakashi said. "We've got more pressing matters. You've got to stop the match," Naruto said. "How come?" he asked. Shikamaru stepped forward and faced the one-eyed Jonin. "I witnessed Gaara to Kusagaker Shinobi in cold blood. He had no remorse in his eyes. We have to stop the match or else Sasuke is going to get it," he said. Kakashi looked at them and then back at the field. "I understand your point, boys, but Sasuke will give up eventually. All I've really taught him was how to avoid the sand. He does not have your kind of stamina, Naruto, so he will get tired very soon," Kakashi explained. "Even though Gaara is likely to just him just for the hell of it," Naruto said. "Don't worry. I will step in if it gets too serious," Kakashi said. "Kakashi, you said that you only taught Sasuke speed, right? Guy asked. Kakashi looked at him with a curious eye. Oh, you are not good to like this, Kakashi. Anime and manga. Sasuke looked at Gaara from his spot on the stadium wall. He had an expression of frustration and anger on his face. Nothing he did was working against him. Even with his increased speed, he couldn't get through his defensive. He cursed Kakashi for his attitude and his lack of thought. It was his fault that he was not prepared to face Gaara. It was his fault that he was not strong enough. He promised himself that he would make Kakashi's life a living hell for all he did to him during this 1 month. He watched as Gaara waited for him to attack. He felt that this distance would be enough to use his new jutsu. If there was one thing he would thank Kakashi for, it was this new attack. He knew that he had a strong tool in his quest for vengeance and it was time to show it. He unbuckled the small arm belts that surrounded his left arm and readied himself. Monkey, dragon, rat, bird, ox, snake, dog, tiger, monkey, Sasuke mentally spoke as he did the hand seals he copied from Kakashi. He held his palm down and focused his chakra. A screeching sound was heard throughout the stadium. Lightning surrounded his hand and created a crater on the wall. Sasuke had a sinister grin on his face and his Sharingan spun wildly. Guy looked at his rival and watched as the man was boiling with anger. Naruto, Shino and Shikamaru took a step back as the elite Jonin was leaking her intent. Kakashi glared at Sasuke as he used his original technique. It was a technique that he created and perfected over his years as a Jonin. He would have never had given it to Sasuke as he didn't know the value of a life. All that mattered to him was revenge. He knew that Sasuke would only use his technique too. Kakashi calmed himself down and he saw that he was making people uncomfortable. There was nothing he could do now, but once the exams were over, he was going to have words with him, strong words. Sasuke reared his arm back, creating a gouge into the stadium wall. He shot forward, running down the wall. He was gaining speed as he hit ground with a boom. He came out of the dust and ran at Gaara. Gaara attacked him with his sand, but Sasuke's Sharingan was able to see where the attack was coming from. Gaara tried to smash him, but it was not to be. Sasuke was within meters of Gaara when he thrust his arm forward. Chidori! Sasuke roared. Gaara's sand automatically came up to protect him, but Sasuke's attack pierced right through it, surprising Gaara. His surprise increased when he felt an unfamiliar pain in his right shoulder. Sasuke grinned as his attack landed and increased the voltage, shocking Gaara. Gaara screamed in pain as his mind processed what was happening. Once it was over, Sasuke removed his arm and jumped back a few feet. Gaara dropped to his knees and held his shoulder. When he touched it, he felt something wet and sticky. He put his hand in front of him and saw red. Is this my blood? It's my blood. This is my blood. Gaara roared. Sand whipped wildly around the area, smashing the ground and walls. His gourd broke apart and surrounded Gaara's shoulder. Gaara continued to scream as his sand wrapped around him like a cocoon. Suddenly, the screaming stopped and it was replaced with a low growl. When the dust settled, everyone was suddenly hit with a wave of dread. Sasuke took a step back at what he saw. Half of Gaara's was covered, his face distorted, and one his eyes was yellow. He had markings around the eye and was sporting a tail. His one arm looked more like a claw. He growled and glared at the person who hurt him. Sasuke was truly afraid at what he was facing now. What the hell are you? Sasuke asked. You made me feel pain. Allow me to return the favor. Gaara roared and charged at Sasuke at twice the speed. Sasuke couldn't dodge in time and was struck with Gaara's claw. Sasuke shouted as the claws cut him. He snapped out of his shock and dodged Gaara's follow-up strike. Gaara reared his arm back across his body, glaring at Sasuke's moving form. Sand Shuriken. Sasuke watched as several projectiles came at him much faster than he was moving. He was struck several times and tumbled across the ground. He was grabbed by Gaara's claw and hoisted into the air. He was slammed to the ground with great force before Gaara lifted him into the air again. The crowd watched in horror as Gaara brutalized Sasuke. Some were shouting for the referee to stop the match. Kakashi had seen enough and made his way down to the grounds. He joined Genma and faced the grotesque Gaara. That's enough. He has lost and you have won your fight. Genma shouted. Get away from me. He will die today. Gaara exclaimed and began to crush the life out of Sasuke. Sasuke grimaced as he felt his bones crack. Suddenly, Gaara's claw was cut by something. Sasuke hit the ground and Gaara was enraged. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Gaara turned to see a massive fireball before it crashed down on him. After a few seconds, Gaara's roar blasted the fire away. His claw returned and he searched frantically for whoever did that to him. He found his target, which was standing on the stadium wall. You! Gaara roared. Everyone turned to see Naruto standing there. He looked at Gaara with a deadpan look. Man, I put some chakra into that fireball. Naruto muttered. He quickly forgot about that and looked at Gaara. You want to fight Gaara? Then, catch me if you can. Naruto shouted and jumped away. Gaara roared and took off after him. Kakashi looked like he was about to follow him when he felt the effects of a genjutsu. He turned to see several people begin to fall asleep. That's when an explosion of smoke caught his attention. He turned to see the Hokage being held by the cage. He couldn't worry about the Hokage or Naruto now. He picked up Sasuke and made his way to the stands. Anime and manga. He arrived and had to duck as enemy ninja came flying past him. Another fell next him as Kurenai appeared with a bloody kunai. He set Sasuke down where Ino, Tenten and Choji were. Asuma arrived later with Hinata, Kiba and Akamaru. Kakashi wasted no time and undid the genjutsu that was on them. Everyone groaned and was wondering what all the noise was for. What the hell? How long have we been out? Kiba asked. That's when everyone noticed the fighting going around. What is going on? Hinata asked with worry. Okay. I'm going to be quick about this. Right now, we are under attack. Kakashi said, gaining several gasps from the ground. The sand and the sound are the ones attacking us. Every Jonin and Chunin is needed to hold off the attack. While I would have someone more experienced, I need to count on you guys to complete an A-rank mission. Do you all understand? He got no answer at first, but they all slowly became serious and faced Kakashi. The Jonin smiled under his mask as did the other Jonin. Hinata, I don't know if you have healed or not, so I need you to take cover and help out if you can. Kurenai said. Hinata nodded as she remembered that she had an attack earlier. Kiba, Ino, Choji and Tenten, your mission is to get Sasuke to one of the shelters in order to get medical treatment. Tenten, you are team leader with Kiba as your second. Kakashi said. Understood sensei. Tenten said. Shino, Shikamaru. Kakashi called out. Shino appeared next to him but not Shikamaru. He arrived later when he was forcibly wakened from his fake nap. He muttered a troublesome before facing everyone. I need you two to go and back up Naruto. I have a feeling that Gaara's siblings are on their trail. What about Naruto? He's fighting that nutcase. Ino exclaimed. Don't worry about Naruto. He can handle it. Kakashi said confidently. He looked at Shino. Can you track him? I placed a bug on him before he rushed in to help. I already have the scent. Shino said. Good. Everyone has their orders. I want you all to be careful and to watch each other's back. Guy, make a door. Kurenai, cover their departure. Both Jonin nodded and did their task. As Choji grabbed Sasuke, Guy punched a hole through the stadium wall, leading to the outside. Kurenai used a genjutsu that blanketed the genin from view. They all left through the hole to complete their objectives. Unknown to everyone, they were spotted by two people. The first was Sakura. She had managed to dispel the genjutsu when it was casted. She hit the deck when the kunai started flying. She wanted to make her way to the arena grounds in order to save Sasuke. That's when she saw that Kakashi had gotten to him first. She carefully made her way to where he and the other Jonin were. When she got there, she heard the last bit of the mission he assigned to them. She was a bit angry that Kakashi did not include in on protecting Sasuke. As they were leaving, Sakura was about to join them but realized that Kakashi would probably stop her. She decided to sneak out and follow them in order to make sure that Sasuke was safe. Naruto dodged another volley of sand that ripped through the bark of the trees. Man, Gaara was persistent. He looked back to see that Gaara, but it really wasn't Gaara. He looked like a raccoon dog with human legs. He could also see black smoke in the distance. He was worried about that as he didn't know what was going on. Feeling that he led the crazy genin away from people, Naruto decided that it was time to stop running. Naruto used his illusion dance to get close to Gaara, surprising him. He was hit with a vicious clothesline and was falling out of the tree. Naruto summoned 3 clones who followed Gaara down. They attacked Gaara as he was falling. Gaara tried to fend them off, but Naruto and his clones kept using the illusion dance. Naruto did some seals and took a deep breath while doing hand seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Naruto roared and spat out at Gaara. A huge explosion was heard throughout the forest. Naruto and his clones landed and waited for the smoke to clear. Suddenly, a massive amount of sand shot out. Naruto barely avoided it, but his clones didn't. He landed and Gaara came at him from out of the smoke, snarling like an animal. He avoided his claw strike and twisted in midair to avoid the tail. He landed and launched an air blade at him. The blade of wind hit Gaara but didn't do any damage. Naruto cursed and got some distance. Gaara wouldn't allow him and charged at him. Naruto was on the defensive and was constantly using his illusion dance to escape. He then summoned a bunch of clones to confuse and distract. Gaara began ing in air through various mouths all over his body. Wind style. Sand devastation. Gaara shouted as he blew out a sandstorm at Naruto and his clones. They were instantly destroyed and Naruto hit the ground hard. Gaara ended his technique and laughed at his opponent. Is that it? Is this the best you can do, Uzumaki? Gaara mocked. Earth style. Headhunter jutsu. Naruto voice came. Gaara was dragged underground and only had his head showing. Naruto popped out of the ground before running off quickly. Seconds later, Gaara was consumed in a major explosion. Naruto watched from his hidden spot to see if Gaara was down. He wasn't too surprised to hear laughter. The smoke cleared to see Gaara step out of the ground. He watched as his lower half was beginning to regenerate. This is fun, Uzumaki. You are proving to be very entertaining. Come on, show me more. Gaara roared. Naruto narrowed his eyes before summoning a mass number of clones. This made Gaara smirk as he readied himself. Some distance away, Shino and Shikamaru were having a battle of their own. They managed to catch up and cut off the two from supporting Gaara. They first tried to get them to surrender, but Temari had other ideas. She moved in a burst of speed and attempted to crush Shikamaru with her fan. She missed but quickly opened her fan and launched an attack at Shikamaru. Shikamaru saw the determination and rage in her eyes and decided to make a hasty retreat into the leaves. Temari followed him with roar. Shino and Kankuro looked at the scene with a measure of shock, but they quietly faced each other. Kankuro released his puppet, Crow, while Shino unleashed his parasitic destruction insects. Kankuro immediately went into hiding while Shino sent his insects to get him. Kankuro then began to fire weapons at Shino, who dodged. Shino saw that they were dipped in poison. Shino went into hiding after that. The battle between the two settled into who would make the first mistake. The two genin of Konoha would not back down, however. They were there to make sure that their comrade would be safe. They only hoped that he was doing well against the monster they saw, who was Gaara. Tenten, Ino, Choji, Akamaru and Kiba were moving quickly but carefully through the village streets. Tenten had Kiba and Akamaru lead them because of his sense of smell. The two were able to lead the team through the village and avoid any battles that were going on. Ino kept checking on Sasuke, who was unconscious. Choji carried him as carefully as he could, but when they had to move, he couldn't avoid be nice. They were making good time when Kiba called for them to stop. "What is it, Kiba?" Tenten said. Kiba looked at Akamaru, who barked at him. Kiba turned to the guys. "We're being followed and we know who it is," Kiba said with some annoyance. That surprised everyone until someone came at them from behind. They couldn't believe who had followed them. What are you doing here, Sakura?" Ino asked hotly. "I came to make sure that Sasuke-kun was okay," Sakura said. "Are you kidding me? You left the safety of the stadium to make sure that your boyfriend was okay." Tenten hissed. "Hey, I don't trust you guys to protect him," Sakura shouted. "Keep your voice down. We're in the middle of a damn war." Ino spat. Sakura glared at her but didn't shout at her. "Were you followed, Sakura?" Tenten demanded. "No, I wasn't followed," Sakura sneered. That's when Akamaru started barking rapidly. Kiba's eyes widened and he faced the group. "We have to get moving now," he said with urgency. The group began to move quickly, making the ride uncomfortable for Sasuke. "Hey, be careful, Choji," Sakura said. "You have no say in this, Sakura." Kiba spat. "Thanks to you, we're being pursued." Everyone looked at Kiba with surprise. "And no, I made sure that I wasn't followed," Sakura stammered. "Well, you didn't do a good job at it. Akamaru said that there are 9 shinobi on our. They must have tailed you from the stadium to us." "Thanks a lot, Sakura," Kiba said with an edge. "Damn it, how long do we have until they catch up with us?" Tenten asked. Kiba sniffed the air. "They know that they've been discovered and are closing in on us. Their scent is getting stronger as they near us," Kiba informed. "Why don't we lead them into one of the various fights going on?" Sakura suggested. They looked at her like she was stupid. "This was your top kunoichi?" Tenten asked everyone. She turned back to face Sakura. "Listen here, Haruno. You are to keep your mouth shut. Right now, we need clear thinkers, not some fangirl who just might have gotten her crushed. So, just keep moving and shut up." Sakura was red in the face in anger. Tenten ignored her and continued with the mission. She needed to think of a plan. That when Choji spoke. "Hey, isn't that Naruto's playground?" he said. Kiba looked to where Choji was talking about. "Holy crap, I forgot about that place. And from what it smells like, there's a shelter need there," Kiba said. "Naruto's playground?" Ino asked. "It's where Naruto led bullies into some pretty cool traps. This one guy fell into a pit and Naruto peed on him," Kiba said. Ignoring the disgust, Tenten looked at Kiba. "Do you know your way around the traps?" she asked. "Yeah, he created a safe path," Kiba said. "Hey, we can use clones to lead them toward the traps," Ino added. "Not a bad decision. Okay, Kiba, Akamaru, led us through the safe zone. Choji, you make clones of yourself and of Sasuke and led them into the traps," Tenten ordered. Everyone nodded and made their way toward the field. Naruto landed a corkscrew blow on Gaara, making him take a step back. He was hit from all sides with air blades courtesy of Naruto's clones. Gaara dropped to a knee after an air blade hit him in the knee. Naruto hit him 2 more punches but Gaara stuck back and sent Naruto flying with a backhand. He then used another sand devastation to take out the clones. When the dust cleared, Naruto stood facing Gaara. Naruto was breathing a little hard, but so was Gaara. Despite the fatigue, Gaara was smiling. I actually felt those blows. You keep making this more fun. Gaara said with a grin. I'm glad that you're amused. Looks like I'm going to have to try harder. I need to get back to the village. Naruto said. You should be more concerned with what's going on in front of you. You won't be getting back to the village alive. You remember, I said that I was going to you. Gaara said. Yeah, I remember, but so far, you haven't really kept that promise. Besides, I'm concerned about some of my friends, something that you don't know anything about. Naruto said. This seems to make Gaara angry. What the hell do you know? You judged my humanity when I had no one and you had others to help you. You're a hypocrite. Gaara shouted. You think I had someone for all of my life? I had to work hard to gain my friends. Sure, it was hard, but I didn't give up. What about you? Did you try your hardest? Did you not give up? Naruto shouted. Shut up. You wouldn't be spouting such nonsense if you witnessed the death of someone you cared for. Gaara roared. Suddenly, he got a wicked grin. Like that girl who congratulated you, I wonder how it would feel when you watch her die. Naruto was confused when he realized who he was talking about. Yes, I should go and find her. When I do, I'll crush her into nothing. I let you watch as she calls out to you for help, but you can't. Then we'll see if you will still have sure conviction. Gaara jumped into the air, planning to make his way by toward the village. He was suddenly cut off by a pair of red eyes. He was struck and struck hard. He crashed through a tree before hitting the ground with a boom. He struggled to stand when he felt a huge amount of anger. He turned to see Naruto glaring at him. His eyes were red with black slits, his whisker marks were darker and his nails grew a little longer. He growled, showing his fangs. You go anywhere near her and I will rip you limb from limb. Naruto threatened in a deep voice. Gaara stood and faced him with a smile. Why don't you try and stop me, Uzumaki? Gaara challenged and motioned him to come and get him. Naruto growled and charged at Gaara. Gaara did the same and the two roared at each other. 9 Sound Ninja watched as the group entered a forest area. They found it humorous that they thought that they could escape through the forest. They were trained and showed every place and spot in Konoha. Running through the forest was a waste of time in their eyes. They all made their way into the forest to capture the genin. As the 8 entered the trees, the 9th followed behind them. He suddenly fell through deep hole. He hit his head on the sides and was knocked out cold as he hit the ground. The others would not know about the loss of their backup. The 8 Sound Ninja followed Choji, who was carrying Sasuke. 4 followed from the ground while 4 followed from the trees. That's when everything started to go wrong for the Sound Shinobi. One of the men jumped on a branch, which broke under his weight. He fell but quickly flipped in midair to land on the ground. This, however, triggered the pit trap that he fell into. What was special about this pit was the logs that blocked the way down. The Sound Ninja hit the first log with his knees, breaking them. He cried out as he hit 2 more logs, breaking, bruising or cracking something. He hit the ground in pain. 2 Sound Ninja turned to help, but one of them triggered a trap. That person was hit by a sandbag that sent him flying into a swamp. The Sound Ninja attempted to get out of the muck, but it made him sink faster. His comrade attempted to help, but the ground gave way. He was sent tumbling into the same muck. 3 down, the other 5 were being a little more cautious. They weren't cautious enough as 3 of them was hit with some sort of gas. They immediately hit the ground, scratching themselves vigorously. The remaining 2 were wondering what the hell was going on. They stopped their pursuit of Choji and were looking around for anyone in the trees. They couldn't believe that they were led into an ambush. They moved carefully only to trigger another trap. This one was a large branch that knocked the wind out of one of the sound ninja. He was hit again by a bag of rocks. Scared for his life, the last remaining sound ninja ran. He was able to get out of the forest only to get shot down by a hail of shuriken. Two Konoha ninja appeared and looked at the dead sound pursuer. Naruto dodged another volley of sand that ripped through the bark of the trees. Man, Gaara was persistent. He looked back to see that Gaara, but it really wasn't Gaara. He looked like a raccoon dog with human legs. He could also see black smoke in the distance. He was worried about that as he didn't know what was going on. Feeling that he led the crazy genin away from people, Naruto decided that it was time to stop running. Naruto used his illusion dance to get close to Gaara, surprising him. He was hit with a vicious clothesline and was falling out of the tree. Naruto summoned 3 clones who followed Gaara down. They attacked Gaara as he was falling. Gaara tried to fend them off, but Naruto and his clones kept using the illusion dance. Naruto did some seals and took a deep breath while doing hand seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Naruto roared and spat out at Gaara. A huge explosion was heard throughout the forest. Naruto and his clones landed and waited for the smoke to clear. Suddenly, a massive amount of sand shot out. Naruto barely avoided it, but his clones didn't. He landed and Gaara came at him from out of the smoke, snarling like an animal. He avoided his claw strike and twisted in midair to avoid the tail. He landed and launched an air blade at him. The blade of wind hit Gaara but didn't do any damage. Naruto cursed and got some distance. Gaara wouldn't allow him and charged at him. Naruto was on the defensive and was constantly using his illusion dance to escape. He then summoned a bunch of clones to confuse and distract. Gaara began in air through various mouths all over his body. Wind style. Sand devastation. Gaara shouted as he blew out a sandstorm at Naruto and his clones. They were instantly destroyed and Naruto hit the ground hard. Gaara ended his technique and laughed at his opponent. Is that it? Is this the best you can do, Uzumaki? Gaara mocked. Earth style. Headhunter jutsu. Naruto voice came. Gaara was dragged underground and only had his head showing. Naruto popped out of the ground before running off quickly. Seconds later, Gaara was consumed in a major explosion. Naruto watched from his hidden spot to see if Gaara was down. He wasn't too surprised to hear laughter. The smoke cleared to see Gaara step out of the ground. He watched as his lower half was beginning to regenerate. This is fun, Uzumaki. You are proving to be very entertaining. Come on, show me more. Gaara roared. Naruto narrowed his eyes before summoning a mass number of clones. This made Gaara smirk as he readied himself. Some distance away, Shino and Shikamaru were having a battle of their own. They managed to catch up and cut off the two from supporting Gaara. They first tried to get them to surrender, but Temari had other ideas. She moved in a burst of speed and attempted to crush Shikamaru with her fan. She missed but quickly opened her fan and launched an attack at Shikamaru. Shikamaru saw the determination and rage in her eyes and decided to make a hasty retreat into the leaves. Temari followed him with roar. Shino and Kankuro looked at the scene with a measure of shock, but they quietly faced each other. Kankuro released his puppet, Crow, while Shino unleashed his parasitic destruction insects. Kankuro immediately went into hiding while Shino sent his insects to get him. Kankuro then began to fire weapons at Shino, who dodged. Shino saw that they were dipped in poison. Shino went into hiding after that. The battle between the two settled into who would make the first mistake. The two genin of Konoha would not back down, however. They were there to make sure that their comrade would be safe. They only hoped that he was doing well against the monster they saw, who was Gaara. Tenten, Ino, Choji, Akamaru and Kiba were moving quickly but carefully through the village streets. Tenten had Kiba and Akamaru lead them because of his sense of smell. The two were able to lead the team through the village and avoid any battles that were going on. Ino kept checking on Sasuke, who was unconscious. Choji carried him as carefully as he could, but when they had to move, he couldn't avoid be nice. They were making good time when Kiba called for them to stop. "What is it, Kiba?" Tenten said. Kiba looked at Akamaru, who barked at him. Kiba turned to the guys. "We're being followed and we know who it is," Kiba said with some annoyance. That surprised everyone until someone came at them from behind. They couldn't believe who had followed them. What are you doing here, Sakura?" Ino asked hotly. "I came to make sure that Sasuke-kun was okay," Sakura said. "Are you kidding me? You left the safety of the stadium to make sure that your boyfriend was okay." Tenten hissed. "Hey, I don't trust you guys to protect him," Sakura shouted. "Keep your voice down. We're in the middle of a damn war." Ino spat. Sakura glared at her but didn't shout at her. "Were you followed, Sakura?" Tenten demanded. "No, I wasn't followed," Sakura sneered. That's when Akamaru started barking rapidly. Kiba's eyes widened and he faced the group. "We have to get moving now," he said with urgency. The group began to move quickly, making the ride uncomfortable for Sasuke. "Hey, be careful, Choji," Sakura said. "You have no say in this, Sakura." Kiba spat. "Thanks to you, we're being pursued." Everyone looked at Kiba with surprise. "And no, I made sure that I wasn't followed," Sakura stammered. "Well, you didn't do a good job at it. Akamaru said that there are 9 shinobi on our. They must have tailed you from the stadium to us." "Thanks a lot, Sakura," Kiba said with an edge. "Damn it, how long do we have until they catch up with us?" Tenten asked. Kiba sniffed the air. "They know that they've been discovered and are closing in on us. Their scent is getting stronger as they near us," Kiba informed. "Why don't we lead them into one of the various fights going on?" Sakura suggested. They looked at her like she was stupid. "This was your top kunoichi?" Tenten asked everyone. She turned back to face Sakura. "Listen here, Haruno. You are to keep your mouth shut. Right now, we need clear thinkers, not some fangirl who just might have gotten her crushed. So, just keep moving and shut up." Sakura was red in the face in anger. Tenten ignored her and continued with the mission. She needed to think of a plan. That when Choji spoke. "Hey, isn't that Naruto's playground?" he said. Kiba looked to where Choji was talking about. "Holy crap, I forgot about that place. And from what it smells like, there's a shelter need there," Kiba said. "Naruto's playground?" Ino asked. "It's where Naruto led bullies into some pretty cool traps. This one guy fell into a pit and Naruto peed on him," Kiba said. Ignoring the disgust, Tenten looked at Kiba. "Do you know your way around the traps?" she asked. "Yeah, he created a safe path," Kiba said. "Hey, we can use clones to lead them toward the traps," Ino added. "Not a bad decision. Okay, Kiba, Akamaru, led us through the safe zone. Choji, you make clones of yourself and of Sasuke and led them into the traps," Tenten ordered. Everyone nodded and made their way toward the field. Naruto landed a corkscrew blow on Gaara, making him take a step back. He was hit from all sides with air blades courtesy of Naruto's clones. Gaara dropped to a knee after an air blade hit him in the knee. Naruto hit him 2 more punches, but Gaara stuck back and sent Naruto flying with a backhand. He then used another sand devastation to take out the clones. When the dust cleared, Naruto stood facing Gaara. Naruto was breathing a little hard, but so was Gaara. Despite the fatigue, Gaara was smiling. "I actually felt those blows. You keep making this more fun," Gaara said with a grin. "I'm glad that you're amused. Looks like I'm going to have to try harder." I need to get back to the village. Naruto said. You should be more concerned with what's going on in front of you. You won't be getting back to the village alive. You remember, I said that I was going to you. Gaara said. Yeah, I remember, but so far, you haven't really kept that promise. Besides, I'm concerned about some of my friends, something that you don't know anything about. Naruto said. This seems to make Gaara angry. What the hell do you know? You judged my humanity when I had no one and you had others to help you. You're a hypocrite. Gaara shouted. You think I had someone for all of my life? I had to work hard to gain my friends. Sure, it was hard, but I didn't give up. What about you? Did you try your hardest? Did you not give up? Naruto shouted. Shut up. You wouldn't be spouting such nonsense if you witnessed the death of someone you cared for. Gaara roared. Suddenly, he got a wicked grin. Like that girl who congratulated you, I wonder how it would feel when you watch her die. Naruto was confused when he realized who he was talking about. Yes, I should go and find her. When I do, I'll crush her into nothing. I let you watch as she calls out to you for help, but you can't. Then we'll see if you will still have sure conviction. Gaara jumped into the air, planning to make his way toward the village. He was suddenly cut off by a pair of red eyes. He was struck and struck hard. He crashed through a tree before hitting the ground with a boom. He struggled to stand when he felt a huge amount of anger. He turned to see Naruto glaring at him. His eyes were red with black slits, his whisker marks were darker and his nails grew a little longer. He growled, showing his fangs. You go anywhere near her and I will rip you limb from limb. Naruto threatened in a deep voice. Gaara stood and faced him with a smile. Why don't you try and stop me, Uzumaki? Gaara challenged and motioned him to come and get him. Naruto growled and charged at Gaara. Gaara did the same and the two roared at each other. 9 Sound Ninja watched as the group entered a forest area. They found it humorous that they thought that they could escape through the forest. They were trained and showed every place and spot in Konoha. Running through the forest was a waste of time in their eyes. They all made their way into the forest to capture the genin. As the 8 entered the trees, the 9th followed behind them. He suddenly fell through a deep hole. He hit his head on the sides and was knocked out cold as he hit the ground. The others would not know about the loss of their backup. The 8 Sound Ninja followed Choji, who was carrying Sasuke. 4 followed from the ground while 4 followed from the trees. That's when everything started to go wrong for the Sound Shinobi. One of the men jumped on a branch, which broke under his weight. He fell but quickly flipped in midair to land on the ground. This, however, triggered the pit trap that he fell into. What was special about this pit was the logs that blocked the way down. The Sound Ninja hit the first log with his knees, breaking them. He cried out as he hit 2 more logs, breaking, bruising or cracking something. He hit the ground in pain. 2 Sound Ninja turned to help, but one of them triggered a trap. That person was hit by a sandbag that sent him flying into a swamp. The Sound Ninja attempted to get out of the muck, but it made him sink faster. His comrade attempted to help, but the ground gave way. He was sent tumbling into the same muck. 3 down, the other 5 were being a little more cautious. They weren't cautious enough as 3 of them was hit with some sort of gas. They immediately hit the ground, scratching themselves vigorously. The remaining 2 were wondering what the hell was going on. They stopped their pursuit of Choji and were looking around for anyone in the trees. They couldn't believe that they were led into an ambush. They moved carefully only to trigger another trap. This one was a large branch that knocked the wind out of one of the Sound Ninja. He was hit again by a bag of rocks. Scared for his life, the last remaining Sound Ninja ran. He was able to get out of the forest only to get shot down by a hail of shuriken. 2 Konoha ninja appeared and looked at the dead Sound pursuer. A week passed since the attempted invasion by the Sand and Sound. Everyone was getting back to their lives and rebuilding what they had lost in the battle. They had buried their dead and the body of their Sandaime Hokage days ago. That was death that hit many people, but none harder than Naruto and Konohamaru. Both were saddened by his death, and it showed in the funeral. Iruka comforted Konohamaru while Kakashi was there for Naruto. The blonde was still down in the dumps, but that changed over time thanks to Kakashi and, surprisingly, Ino. Iruka came to see him later. Iruka, Naruto and Konohamaru would hang out and tell stories about the old man. Anime and manga. There was another change in Naruto's life that confused and shocked him. He noticed that a great deal of people was looking at him differently. It wasn't looks of disgust or fear, but looks of acknowledgement. He instantly felt it from the shinobi who thanked him for his little area of traps. He got the story from Kiba and he was even awarded for it. Some of the civilians thanked him, and a few stores that he couldn't get in were allowing him in. Ino told him that some people were glad for his protection against Gaara. It was a quick turn that Naruto was cautious about, but he wouldn't lie and say he didn't like it. Hey Naruto, I think you've helped out enough. You can go and take lunch if you want. A civilian man said. Okay. Just let me know if you need my help again. Naruto said. He dispelled his clones and made his way toward Ichiraku's. He had built up an appetite working with people, helping them rebuild. Kakashi stood before the council. He had just finished with his request and looked at the council, who looked at him with curiosity. You wish for us to suspend your team from duty? This is quite a time to spring this on us, Kakashi. We need every available ninja right now. Koharu said. I understand that, and you are right, but my team would only be a hindrance. To tell you the truth, I am planning on having my team disbanded as soon as a new Hokage is introduced. Kakashi said. Are things that bad with your team, Kakashi? Shikamaru told me that you were quite angry after learning that Sasuke stole your original technique. Shikaku said. It's more than that. Sasuke's superiority complex will only get worse as stories of Naruto's battle with the Sans container is circulating around the village. His jealousy is ever growing that he does not care where he gets power from and how he gets it. His stealing my technique is proof of that. I know that he will not have any issue using it on anyone who gets in his way of getting power, be it friend or foe. Kakashi explained. The council murmured about that, and you could see some were concerned of that statement. What about your Kunoichi, Kakashi? Asked Sume. She is a disgrace of a shinobi. As I am sure that you have read Genin Tenten's report, she nearly got the team I sent to secure Sasuke. She challenged the commander and was insubordinate to Jonin at the shelter. She is a liability to the ninja force and should not be doing even the lowest of D-rank missions. Kakashi said. Another round of murmurs went around the room. After a few moments, Homura spoke. We agree with your request with the exception of Naruto Uzumaki. We have got word that he is helping out around the village with the rebuild. Also, Jiraiya has requested that he helps him with a mission that he will be undertaking soon. Kakashi nodded, bowed and left the room. Sasuke glared at the boulder in front of him. The boulder sported 2 holes in it, but they weren't as deep as he wanted it to be. He winced in pain and grabbed his recovering arm. He ignored the pain and returned his focus to the boulder. He was just so frustrated that he was not getting the same results that Kakashi showed with this technique. That bastard sensei wasn't any help either. He confronted Kakashi after the funeral of the Sandaime. At first, he asked Kakashi to help him with the technique. When Kakashi flat out refused, he was enraged. He shouted and ranted to the silver-haired Jonin, demanding that he acted like a sensei and give him power. Kakashi closed the distance between them and his arm went right through the trunk of a tree. The glare he received from Kakashi shut him up and made him scared. Kakashi withdrew his arm and left. A while later, Sasuke observed the damage and was determined to master this technique. Sasuke tried everything but he could not produce the same results and it angered him. He blamed his weakness, he blamed Kakashi for refusing him and he blamed Naruto for being much stronger than. That grinning idiot had showed that he was not the dead last anymore. He defeated a person that he could not defeat. He was being trained by one of the damn Sannin and he was left with scrapes. It infuriated him that such a no-talent loser like him was getting all this attention. Wasn't he the Rookie of the Year? Wasn't he an Uchiha? He deserved such attention, not Naruto. He suddenly felt stronger as if his rage fueled him. He used this power and did the hand seals for the Chidori. With a roar, he charged at the boulder with a lightning-infused hand. There was a large boom and dust covered Sasuke. When it cleared, Sasuke was on his knees. He looked up and saw that the attack did much better than he believed. He was shocked at first when he felt something on his shoulder. It was that mark that was given to him by that guy in the forest. It was retreating back into a seal that surrounded the mark. He was curious about the mark but he liked the power that it gave him. It was intoxicating and it was giving him what he needed to use this technique. He didn't really listen when they explained what that other seal did but as long as it didn't mess with the mark, it was alright. He decided to rest before training with it again. A mission? Naruto asked. He was at Ichiraku's and was enjoying some ramen when Jiraiya appeared. The two enjoyed a little banter before the man told him that he wanted him to come with him on a mission. You want to do a mission with me? Yeah, why not? It's going to be a very important one. Plus, we can train for a little bit. It'll be fun. Jiraiya said. I don't know. You did give me that cool jutsu but you had to throw me off a cliff for me to get it. Naruto said. Tsuki and Ayame whipped their heads around and glared at the Sennin. Jiraiya laughed nervously and quickly spoke before the two cut into him. How about this? I'll teach you two jutsu. Both are pretty useful and one of them you can even use with your pranks. I heard that you like to do them from time to time. Jiraiya said. Naruto was thinking about it so Jiraiya sweetened the pot. The other technique is stronger than Kakashi's technique that Sasuke stole. Anime and manga. Alright then, you got a partner. Naruto said with enthusiasm. Jiraiya just smirked at the blonde. Sasuke walked out of the hospital, his hand bandaged up. He had overused the Chidori and burned his hand. The nurse was a little nosy about the arm as it was already healed. She made a comment about Naruto's healing factor that he ignored. As he made his way around the village, he looked at the curse mark. He looked at it with appreciation as it gave him what he needed. The power was indeed intoxicating. He wondered why Orochimaru gave it to him but he thanked the man for it. He would just have to learn to use it more and he could use his new technique. As he continued to walk, he noticed that people were looking at him. That wasn't unusual but he saw that the looks were different than he encountered. It was like they were no longer holding him with high regard. He then heard someone make a comment about his wrapped hand, a comment that he was not happy with. Another comment he heard was that he wasn't as strong as people thought. Sasuke looked ready to run up on that guy when a Chunin appeared before him. Sasuke Uchiha? The Chunin asked. Yeah, what do you want? Sasuke asked rudely. The Chunin ignored the attitude and faced him. As of today, you have been removed from duty until a Hokage is inducted. The Chunin said, surprising Sasuke. What do you mean I've been removed from duty? Sasuke shouted. I don't know the details. All I know is that it was recommended and it was approved. That's all I have to say. The Chunin said and left before Sasuke could speak. Sasuke couldn't believe what just happened. He noticed that everyone was looking at him, some were trying hard not to laugh. He growled and stomped off before he lost control. As he stomped, he wondered who would do such a thing to him. The only person who could make a recommendation like that was Kakashi. He took off to the roofs in order to find his sensei. Anime and manga. Kakashi was leaning against the wall of a tea shop, reading his favorite book. He noticed two people walking toward him and looked up from his book. It was Asuma and Kurenai. He quickly put the book away as it was known that Kurenai hated that book and was prone to destroy one on sight. They walked up to him and Kakashi greeted them. "Hey guys, are you on another date?" Kakashi asked. What are you talking about? I'm here to get something for Anko and we met up. Kurenai said with a small blush. Hey Kakashi, word is you removed your team from duty. Has things gotten that bad? I know that you were pissed at what Sasuke did. Asuma said. Yeah, I'm even pushing for my team to be disbanded. Sasuke and Sakura have disappointed me time after time. I'm also worried about Naruto if he's still attached to the team. He doesn't need to have his improvement held back by those two. Kakashi said. He made a motion with his eyes toward the two men that were in the tea shop. They both had on black robes with red clouds and a straw hat. One of the men had a large item that was bandaged. Yeah, I can say that I don't disagree. What Naruto did against Neji was very impressive. Kurenai said. Where is he anyway? She asked this question because she noticed how one of them reacted to the name. He's around helping rebuild the village. A lot of people appreciate the work that he's been doing. Kakashi said. When he looked back, he noticed that the two were gone. He had a good scent on them, so he wouldn't lose them. He looked at the other two and they nodded. All three vanished and made chase after the two mystery men. We're going to get a new Hokage? Naruto asked as he walked out of the gates with Jiraiya. Yeah, she's my old teammate and granddaughter of the Shadaime. Jiraiya said. So she's the last of your teammates. Where has she been all this time? Naruto asked. That's not my story to tell, kid. I would recommend that you don't ask as it may be deadly if you do. Jiraiya answered. Okay. Hey, do you think you can help me with a move I created? I can use it but I want to make it more effective. He asked. Sure, but let's get some distance from the village first. Naruto nodded and the two continued their mission. The two men walked along the canal, minding their own business. No one was in the area, which did not concern either one of them. After a while, the two stopped walking and stood there unmoving. I believe we are far enough for your liking. Why don't you come out now? The shorter of the two called out. Kakashi, Asuma and Kurenai appeared in front of the two. The two sides faced each other down. I had a feeling about you two. So, why don't you tell us who you are and why you are here? Kakashi asked. I can't tell you why we're here, but I guess I could tell you my name, Kakashi-senpai. The shorter man said. That sent warning bells to the three as the shorter man removed his hat. When his face was shown, the three gasped in surprise. Itachi Uchiha, whispered Kakashi. Oh Itachi, it seems like they remember you. Well, let me introduce myself as well. The taller man said and removed his hat. The three Jonin were now sweating at the revelation of the other man. This has gotten troublesome. Why is the monster of the mist, Kisame Hoshigaki, doing with Itachi Uchiha? Asuma asked. Sakura was in shock as she was just informed about her removal from duty. The Chunin that had just delivered the news had just left. Her mother and father looked at their daughter with concern and tried to comfort her. She dashed to her room and fell onto her bed in tears. She just couldn't wrap her head around that decision by her sensei. She knew that he was the only one with the authority to do this. Why was she being punished by Kakashi? Was it because of what happened during the Chunin exams? Sakura just cried her eyes out and tried to rack her brain for a reason. Kakashi, Kurenai and Asuma faced the two men that had infiltrated their village. They were very concerned as their opponents were S-rank missing ninjas, Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki. Kisame gave them all a grin. Anime and manga. It looks like that you are well-known Itachi. They must really hate you. Kisame joked. You tend to be angry when you a whole clan. Asuma commented. I'll ask again Itachi, why are you here? Have you come to finish what you've started? Kakashi asked demandingly. I have nothing to tell you Kakashi-senpai. Please, do not get in our way. Itachi said. Kakashi pulled out a kunai while Asuma pulled out his trench knives. Kurenai quickly did some hand seals and disappeared. Kisame smiled and attacked the two males. Asuma blocked the strike but he was nearly brought to his knees by the attack. He couldn't believe that with just one arm he was able to generate such strength. Kakashi quickly kicked the sword off Asuma before Kisame could pull it back. He dashed past Kisame to engage Itachi. The elder Uchiha stood there as Kakashi charged when he was wrapped up by a tree. From out of the tree, Kurenai was posed to deliver a Aang blow. Itachi quickly changed positions, surprising Kurenai. Itachi spun around to block a kick from Kakashi and the two began to fight on the water. Kurenai broke the genjutsu and decided to help Asuma. She was able to catch Kisame in a genjutsu, giving Asuma the chance to land a glancing blow on Kisame. Angry at getting cut, Kisame did some hand seals. Water style. Shark bomb. Kisame growled and fired the jutsu at Kurenai. Asuma appeared in front of her and flipped his trench knives to hold them like swords. Channeling his chakra into them, he was able to cut through the water jutsu but was pushed back a few feet. Kisame just grinned and readied himself to fight some more. Kakashi had revealed his Sharingan and stared down Itachi who activated his Sharingan. Kakashi was cautious about approaching him as Itachi was a master of the Sharingan. Itachi whipped his hand out and Kakashi's Sharingan eye widened. He quickly did some hand seals and called on a water wall just as 6 drills of water attempted to take his legs away. When the wall fell, Kakashi was gone. A screeching sound was heard and Itachi was run through by Kakashi's lightning blade. Kakashi was confused until he felt a spike of chakra. He was caught in an explosion as Itachi blew up. Kurenai and Asuma wanted to go and help but Kisame would not allow them to. Lucky for them, Kakashi was not harmed by the explosion. He was again face to face with Itachi. That was pretty clever, using a shadow clone to attack. You have truly gotten better with the Sharingan Kakashi-senpai. However, Itachi said and closed his eyes. Kakashi felt the spike of chakra and quickly closed his regular eye. You cannot win against the ultimate form of the Sharingan. Itachi said as his Sharingan transformed. He looked at Kakashi in the eye and called out his jutsu. Tsukuyomi. Kakashi was pulled from the normal world in a dark world of black and red. Strapped to a cross, Itachi appeared in front of him with a sword. This is the world of the Tsukuyomi. In this world, I control what happens here. For the next 72 hours, I will stab you with this blade. Itachi said and he proceeded to stab Kakashi in the kidney. Kakashi grunted in pain and passed out. When he awoke, he was still attached to the cross. The only difference was that there were 3 copies of Itachi. Like I said, Itachi said while stabbing Kakashi again, as did his copies. I control what happens in this world. Kakashi grunted and again passed out. He awoke again and he was still trapped and more copies were surrounding him. Don't worry Kakashi, only 71 hours and 59 minutes to go. Kakashi screamed. Back in reality, Kakashi dropped to his knees. He was still conscious but barely. Itachi was breathing a little hard as well and showed a little surprise that Kakashi was still standing. Kisame joined Itachi while Asuma and Kurenai arrived to help Kakashi. What happened Kakashi? A few seconds ago, You were just standing there and then you hit the water. Asuma exclaimed. I'm surprised that his mind isn't mush right now. You should know that you can't use that technique for long periods. Kisame said. Kakashi was breathing hard, but he had to know why they were here. So, you aren't here for Sasuke. What are you after? Kakashi asked. The fourth Hokage's legacy, Itachi stated. Asuma and Kurenai were surprised by that statement. So, you're a part of the Akatsuki? Kakashi asked. It was now Itachi and Kisame to be surprised. Akatsuki? What is that? Kurenai asked. You're after Naruto for the 9 tails that is sealed within him. I won't allow you. Kakashi finally gave out and was unconscious. Kisame, we are taking Kakashi with us. Take the others out, Itachi ordered. Kisame smirked and charged at the ground with a bloodthirsty grin. Well now, who are you? Kisame asked. I am Konoha's sublime green beast of prey, Maida Guy. Guy introduced. Green beast of prey, huh? This is getting good, Kisame said with a grin. That's enough, Kisame. We are at a disadvantage. I can assume that the Anbu is on the way. We will retreat for now, Itachi said. Kisame scoffed but complied with him. The two vanished and the Jonin let loose a sigh of relief. Jiraiya watched as Naruto did the seals for transparency jutsu he created. He watched as he disappeared and was doing a good job of keeping it up. He had just helped him with his air blade jutsu, which impressed him. It was now battle ready and Naruto could cause some damage if he used it. Naruto impressed him greatly. He had gotten the full story from Kakashi and he could see a lot of 4th Hokage within Naruto. Minato Namikaze was a born genius, but he strived to get better and stronger. Naruto did the same and he was sure that by the time they get back he would be a Chunin. Naruto disabled the jutsu and looked at Jiraiya. How was that? Naruto asked. Not bad, kid. A little more practice and you can actually pull it off, Jiraiya said with a smile. Naruto grinned and rubbed the bottom of his nose. Come on, kid. Let's get to the next town and take a little break. Hi. Sasuke finally found where Kakashi was. He walked to his apartment with a purpose and he would not be deterred from his goal. He was going to get to the bottom of Kakashi's decision to get him removed from duty. He didn't deserve it and he was going to get the decision changed. He banged on the door to his apartment and waited. The person who opened the door was not someone he expected. What are you doing here? Sasuke asked Asuma. He looked in the apartment and saw several other Jonin and a figure on the bed. It looked like Kakashi but he couldn't be sure. Suddenly, another Jonin appeared and was out of breath. Hey, did I just hear that Itachi was in the village and he was after Naruto? The man shouted. Some of the Jonin looked at him like he was stupid. Sasuke's eyes widened before he took off. Asuma couldn't grab him in time. Sasuke began searching the village for Naruto. He got word from his favorite spot to eat that he went on a mission with Jiraiya. Sasuke quickly made his way out of the village in order to catch up with the two of them. As he ran, things ran through his mind. One of them was that Naruto was still going on missions. Why was he allowed to go on missions while he was removed from duty? Another thing was that Itachi was back and he didn't even bother to come after him. He was after Naruto. What the hell made Naruto so damn special? He was the one who his brother tasked withing him, so why was he so concerned with Naruto? He just didn't understand it and it made him very angry that he was being ignored. That anger made him tap into the power of the curse mark and it gave him a boost of speed. Naruto sighed as he sat in the room that Jiraiya rented. The man would have been with him if it was for that girl who was actually wanted to be with him. She must have been crazy or something. Either way, the man told him to go to the room while he got to know the girl better. He just sighed and looked over the techniques that he had learned. He was surprised at the amount of techniques that he had known so far. It meant that he was getting better as a ninja. Anime and manga. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Naruto thought that it was Jiraiya. He figured that the girl must have come to her senses. He stood up and opened the door. When he did, he was surprised to see Sasuke, but he quickly saw that it was not Sasuke as the person was taller than him. But he instantly recognized the Sharingan, so who was this guy? That's when he remembered the person that Sasuke wanted to. It was his brother, Thir of the Uchiha clan. Why was he here? Itachi looked at him and saw the look of recognition on his face.